Alright, so for this video we're just going to look at some of the navigation tools in SketchUp that are quite helpful. So the first one I just want to bring attention to is the orbit tool. So you can see it up here. So you'll be using this quite a lot. You can see if I click and drag around, it rotates the model for me. Mine's a bit slow and glitchy, but you get the idea. And so with the orbit tool, it's just worth noting if you've got a mouse with a scroll wheel on it, you can just hold the scroll wheel down and get the same effect, or the orbit tool will work for you doing it that way as well. Now for pan, okay, so I'm just going to bring up the pan tool, okay, moving the model from one side to another. So that is there, but a good shortcut, because you do use these tools quite a bit, is going to be using the orbit tool, for example, or just use my keyboard shortcut O. And often you'll want to go from orbit to pan. So I'm just going to hold down shift now, and you'll see that it automatically changes it to pan. So if I release the shift button, I'm back to orbit. So it's quite a good shortcut just to transition from one to the other. Now on a mouse you've got a scroll wheel, so you could obviously use that to scroll. Just worth noting that basically wherever your mouse is positioned is where it will zoom into. So if I want to look at this very point on the top roof, that's where I've got to position my mouse, and you can zoom in and out like that. Okay, that's a few of the good tools that you're going to use quite a lot. Okay, so one other I just wanted to have a look at was the magnify tool. And with that one there, if I drag from the bottom up, it will zoom in. If I drag from the top down, it will zoom out. But personally, I'm just much more of a fan of just using the scroll wheel on the mouse and pointing to where you want to zoom in and out from. Another one, if you lose your model, maybe it zoomed or something goes wrong and disappears from your screen, the zoom extents button here will always bring it back. So that's that one up there. So that's a helpful one to know about. Okay, so another aspect we're going to look at here is just the different view tools. So you can simply just click from one to the next to the other to bring the view square onto the screen that you might want to be working on. So it's helpful to know those options are there. Looking down on your view is probably a pretty common one, particularly if you work on floor plans and things like that. And then you've got your ISO view over here as well. Okay, so for the last part of this video, we're just going to look at this camera views here, and you've got parallel projection and perspective. So under parallel projection, when it's selected, let's have a look at a bird's eye view down of this. Okay, so probably really good if you're doing 2D floor plans to be using the parallel projection method. If I go to ISO view and then I switch it to perspective, let's have a look at what it does. Okay, so to me, personally, I generally like working in perspective when I'm dealing with 3D models, particularly if you are wanting to ever try and go inside the model or get some shots. Okay, it can be really difficult with parallel projection to actually go inside the model and view, the elements that you're trying to view or to take some shots. So probably just the main thing to work out there is, I guess, parallel projection, like I mentioned, 2D drawings looking down, probably a good option, or perspective for most other things in my view. Let's just go bird's eye view down. So you can see we're in perspective here at the moment. And if I change that to parallel, what that does. Okay,